Hey, what's up? Brian here with Lou with the Holy Roller. Nice shirt, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Holy Roller, where it's all about playing craps, earning free cruises, and a whole lot more. Thanks for watching. Now let's get rolling.
So you might say, wait a minute, that guy looks familiar. And the reason why Lou looks familiar is because on Casino Quest, the 30 roll challenge with you are the leader.
Yeah.
You are the leader.
For almost 2 years now. Actually, over 2 years, I think.
Over 2 years, you had $300 and you turned, in 30 rolls, you turned $300 into like $7,700.
$718.
My goodness.
It's a beautiful roll.
Okay.
Stars, moon, planet, everything perfectly aligned there.
Everything worked great. Okay. But there was a system you're kind of using. And most people just thought you just parlayed the field. And that was a lot of it. But there was a lot more to it. And so today we're going to talk to Lou about a system that, what do you call it?
3RX.
3RX. Okay. And there's 3 R's and they stand for 3 different things. Let's start with, tell me what the first R is.
The first R is recover.
Okay, recover. So you put your money out and you want to recover your money.
Yeah, you want to get your initial layout back in the rack as soon as possible, the way that I like to play.
Yeah, and that's the way everybody should play, is get your money back as fast as possible, so recover. What is the second R?
Second R is replace.
Replace. Okay, so you're recovering your money and then that means you replaced it, or?
Basically, the way I like to start initially is what I call a modified iron cross.
Okay.
So you're just covering the 6 and 8, and you're playing your field bet. I like to do a 2-to-1 ratio for my 6 and 8 to field, and you're trying to get 3 to 5 hits back instantly. That's the recover part, right?
Okay, so meaning that you probably do $18 on a $10 table. You do $18 on the 6 and 8, and $10 in the field.
Well, that's what I would regress to. So if I were playing, ideally, I would start with a $42 6 and 8.
Okay.
And I would put 25 in the field, right?
Okay, so that a 42 that pays 49 or a 50 for one.
Right.
And then the field, unless a 2 or 12 hit, would pay 25. So
Right.
you're pretty much yielding $25 on every hit.
Yeah, $24 or $25. So you'll end up with $73 or $75 by the end of your first 3 hits. And then that's when I would do the regression down to the $18 6 and 8 and the $10 in the field, if you're lucky enough to find a $10 table.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you would probably go 24 and 15, or would you go 30 and 15?
If I were on a $15 table, it would be 54 6 and 8 and 30 in the field. So you're winning 63, or you're 30 in the field, and then, like you said, I would regress down to probably $24. 6 and 8 and 15 in the field.
Okay, yeah, because then the 24 pays 28,
right? So
or
you're clearing
15.
13 or 15 every roll after the regression.
Yeah, that's great. Okay,
so that covers the recover part of it, and then the replace part of it is the first thing I like to do is, since I'm playing the modified iron cross, I don't have the 5 covered, so I plug that hole immediately. So once I get into my initial profit, a couple dollars of whatever after my regression, you plug that hole, the 5, immediately.
Okay.
And then I like to then take 1 hit, so that's one more in the piggy bank, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then if I hit another one, I'll cover the 9, right? So that's the replace part of it. Replace that 5 immediately, so you don't get hit in the field, and then take a hit, and then you recover the 9. Now, if I'm seeing a lot of 4s and 10s, I might also replace those, right?
Okay.
Because like we talked about, I'm a big fan of the parallel wins. Getting a box number and a field number all on one outcome.
Okay,
of the dice.
parallel wins, very interesting, because we did talk about that. But let's go to the third R, and then we're gonna and then I really want to talk about that parallel wins, because it is very interesting. But the third R, the first one is recover, the second one is replace, the third one is
reap.
Reap. Our favorite part about craps is reaping the reward if we get there, right?
Yes.
And so once you get to that place, you're like out of the hand. You've already grabbed a couple other numbers.
Yeah, you've made a little bit of profit, which is very, very important. And now you're really starting to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you determine what is reap? Like, what do you do to reap?
For the 6 and 8, I like to get it up to a $30 level, and then after that, I'm going to do a press and collect, right? So, you know, first one I'll collect, next one I'll press. So,
and
you know,
press means doubles.
that's why I like the $30 level for every number, because then it's simple math right after that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I would collect my $35 first. Let's say we get lucky, hit another 6. Now I got $35 coming to me as a win. Take 30 of that, make my 6.
Oh,
look
and
like
bring
60.
some back.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so you're kind of collecting along the way. Okay. Until you get to that 30 level. Then it's 30, 60, 120.
Right.
That's where
right.
the easy math
right.
comes in
so,
for the 6 and 8.
Yeah, and if in the middle phase, if I replaced the 4 and the 10, then, you know, I would do the same thing for that press and collect. The 5, I only raise in increments of 5 because that's just kind of like a hedge or a cover to cover my field bet.
Because you're always in the field.
Yes, always in the field.
Okay, so and so that brings me to the point of this parallel win.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to us a little bit about how the casino wins parallel wins.
Okay. So again, this is my philosophy. I'm just an engineer. I'm nobody special. But essentially, when I was in college, I found parallel systems and series systems, right?
Okay.
And it was an epiphany for me because, like, when you cover the inside, the 5, 6, 8, and 9.
Yeah, like 44 inside.
Right. That's really a series bet because you can only ever win one of those numbers on one outcome.
Okay.
So as you said the other day, you're risking what, $44 to win 14.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you have to get 4 hits to at least get your money back.
Right.
Or
so you need 4 outcomes
to recover.
Right. 4 outcomes of those inside numbers. Where the casino, they have what's called a parallel bet. One outcome wins them 4 of your bets.
Yeah, like if the 7 comes. Yeah, if the 7 comes, they win them all.
Exactly.
So the reason why you're in the field is, and if you have a 9 and you're in the field and a 9 rolls.
Now you've won 1 outcome, but you've won 2 times.
Parallel, yeah.
Parallel.
So the 4. So when we think of the Iron Cross, like we always think, well, if I have the 5, 6, and 8 and field, I can win on every roll except for the 7.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a parallel win.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you lose the field, you win the 5. So, and same thing with the 6 and 8. You can't win more than 1. So the reason why I find that as intriguing is because nobody really thinks about it as, I'm going to get a 4, 9, and 10 and field. You know, because once you get those, then you can actually get one of those parallel wins.
Right. For every 1 outcome of the dice, you're winning multiple times. So there's really 2 ways to win it, Craps. You can win 1 outcome multiple times, which is what people are hoping for when they
like
the
press,
inside.
collect, or whatever.
Or you can win multiple times on 1 outcome. And I think the winning multiple times on 1 outcome is a stronger way to approach the game.
Yeah, like if I had a 6 and an 8 and I did a hard 6 and hard 8 and it rolled the hard way, then I would win
That's
parallel.
A parallel win, 100%.
Okay, but the hard way doesn't come all the time.
Right.
I like it because in the field of 4, 9, or 10, it doesn't matter if it's easy, hard 9.
Yeah, hard 9. The 9s are hard sometimes.
but whether it's a hard 10 or an easy 10, it doesn't matter about whether it's hard or easy because the hard way is not. I guess you could add that and have a 3-way win if it went that way. But the fact that it could be a field number, 10, and you're in the field and on the number like 10, 9, or 4, parallel wins. Because, you know, if you put $10 in the field, $10 on the 4, and the 4 hits, your field just paid for your 4 over there, so you can press that, you know, or whatever. So, wow, that's a pretty cool way of thinking about it.
Right.
So take us through the, so we understand the reaping is just a press and collect. I think...
On the 6 and the 8 and the 4 and the 10, if I replace them in the middle phase of the strategy. Like I said, on the 5, I'm just going to do nickel increments because that's just kind of like replace the field. The 9 is what I like to call my jackpot number.
Okay.
Hopefully I hit like 5 9s and get it up to that $1,000 win that we talked about.
Yeah.
So,
which you had a $1,000 win off of. Was that a $15 9?
Yeah, it was a $15 9.
With this system that you're using, the way you do it, yeah.
So you would go to 15 to 30, and then 30 would win you 42, so then you take that up to 75, right? And depending where your bankroll is, like if you're really down, then I would collect that $105
105
off of the 75.
Yeah.
If you're doing good, then you take that 105, make it 175.
Basically, you need a lot of hits, but
right.
if you just take all your winnings, put it in there, and then when it hits, you bring it all the way back down to start over.
Right, you drop it down to 20.
Well, we were playing the other day, and you had it at the $75 level.
Yes.
But because you got a couple hits, or whacks, you know, like where we lost a little bit, you probably would have collected that 105.
Yes.
And
right.
and then after that, you would have went to 150, or you just all the way.
I would have went to 175.
Okay.
Your 175 pays 245. Then you add that 245 to the 175. That makes it a $425 bet.
Wow.
Right. And then that's where you get the 565 from. And then once you get that 565 plus that 425, you regress it down to $20. You lock up $1,000 in the rack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jline Network is sponsoring this video, and we want to invite you to go get a copy of the 7 Areas of Greatness, which is a success journal and planning tool. You got to get one of these and begin the journey together. Thanks, Jline, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. People need multiple hits. Like, we're all looking for multiple hits in order to win money. But one thing is that I always say, and I'm beginning to say actually, is we might be expecting too much out of the game of craps. Like, all I need is 20 hits of, you know, all I need is a monster roll, and those do happen.
Yeah.
But can you make money? So with your system, like the 3RX, can you make money without a monster roll?
I would say yes. So let's take a step back for a moment and explain where the 3Rs came from.
Okay.
So again, I'm an engineer. I work with microcontrollers. I wrote some code in Arduino IDE. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's the only thing I know. Right?
Okay.
So I wrote some code. I call it the craps code. And basically over tens of thousands of rolls, what I found out by my homemade program was that 33% of your rolls, or I should say hands, 33% of your hands are going to be 4 rolls or less.
4 rolls or less. How many have experienced that?
Another 33% of them are going to be between 5 and 9 rolls.
Okay.
And then the last 33% are the ones that we're always looking for, the big monsters, 10 plus, right?
Okay, 10 plus, yeah.
Right. So essentially, that's where the 3Rs come from. The first 33%, the second 33%, and the third 33%.
Okay.
So your recover is your first 4 rolls. You want to get that money back in your rack as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's when you're going to have the most risk, right? Because if you play the system ideally, you're going to be putting those big $42 6 and 8 out there with the $30 in the field.
So start a little higher.
$25
in order to get that recover. I mean, I think everybody, that's a nugget I think everybody should say, okay, I need to do that. If it's a $10 table and I'm playing at $10, there's no way for me to get my money back unless I take the point down. Like if I get a hit, like if I go 44 inside and the 9 hits and I take the 9 down and then a 5 hits and I take that down, I could get out in 2 hits. But usually if on a $10 table, because then you limit your opportunity if you take the point down, right?
Right.
But in order to get that recovery, you need to start a little bit higher. So so do you treat like a $10 table as, like you said, 42? So you almost treat it like a $25 table, but you go up a little bit higher even with that. So four rolls, and how long? And that only happens a third of the time. So right. So oh my goodness.
So then that's where you get into the replace phase, where you want to take a number and take a hit, because 66% of the time you're not going to get past 9 rolls. So that's why you got to collect that little bit of profit as you're replacing your 4, your 5, your 9, then your 4 and your 10. If you want to go that aggressive, placing the 4 and 10 is getting aggressive, because again, it's taking away from wins. You know, those little $10 wins or whatever you've regressed down to that are going to be building your bankroll for those times where you get whacked in the 4 roll phase, the recover phase.
Wow.
So basically you're just playing like a middle game. You're just trying to outlast until you can get to that 33%, the plus 10 roll, and then that's when you start reaping.
Yeah, and that's where you're pretty aggressive with it. Yeah. So I think I always say sometimes treat every roll like it's the monster roll, but this kind of changes my mindset. I mean, if I'm doing this, the 3 R's, then it can be a monster roll. Every roll can be a monster roll, and I could treat it as a monster roll as long as I recover, then replace, then I can reap.
Right.
And I think a lot of times what a lot of people do is they're just pressing. They're not collecting along the way, and then all their profit out there, it's gone.
Right.
You know, and it's like, man, I pressed, but I never collected.
Exactly. 66% of the time, they're not going to get past that 9 roll mark, and like you said, all their profit that's been reinvested is just going to get wiped away.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to like roll this out on a table in a different video, and then you'll have to comment and let me know how I did. Have you got your dice tracker yet? Make sure to get one of these. Go to holyroller.com or check the link in the description. This is able to track not only your bankroll, but your points towards a free cruise, among other things. So make sure to grab one of these. Now let's get back to it. All right, so speaking of these three tiers, or the 3 R's, but the 3 different 33, 33, and 33, or around there. You actually wrote it out on a paper. I'll put it on the screen. Tell us a little bit about this as they're looking at it.
So this is just more evidence, as far as I'm concerned, with my little analytical brain, that the first 4 rolls are the most critical. And so if you look at it, this is just a calculation of the probability of a number not occurring during the length of a roll. It really should be hand, because when I refer to a roll nowadays, it's one specific outcome of the dice. But anyway, if you look at this, for their very first roll, everybody knows the 7 has a 16.6% chance of happening. And that's true for every single roll of the dice, right? 16.6, that never changes.
Yes.
However, what I differ from, as far as the classical, mathematical, people that are probably way smarter than me, is you've got 2 events you're happening. You've got your 7 event and your non-7 event.
Yeah.
And your non-7 events are what we consider a hand, right? So every non-7 event, the probability diminishes that the next event will not be a 7. And that's what this chart is showing. I did all the probabilities for all the numbers, but for our conversation today, we're just going to look at the 7, right? And everybody knows 16.6%. So that means you've got 83.3%. I'm sorry, 0.833% of another number happening.
You know what I like to think about when it comes to the 7? A lot of times people do say, hey, 1 out of 6 chance. But doesn't that mean 5 out of 6 chances won't be?
Right.
I mean, that's the positive way to look at it, right?
Right. So yeah, that statement is 100% true on 1 roll of dice.
Right,
if you look
right.
at just 1 roll of dice, that statement is 100% true.
But you're talking about a hand.
Yes.
Which is a series of rolls.
Consecutive non-7 events.
Okay.
So if you go to the roll 2, you'll see the probability now that the roll will continue without a 7 is dropped down to 69.4%. Right?
Yes.
After 3 rolls, you're down to 57.87%.
And 4 rolls has a little green thing there. What's that?
Yeah, the green is the halfway indicator, right?
Okay.
So that drops down to 48.23%. So that means after 4 rolls of the dice, basically your point that you established and the next 3 rolls, you're already at below 50% chance that the hand will continue without a 7.
Okay. So that's why you want to get your money back within those 4 rolls.
Yeah, within those 4 rolls.
Wow.
Another thing that I should say, personally, I don't like to work on the come out roll because I'm looking for a 7 on the come out roll. And again, it's probably more superstition than it is, mathematical prowess. But what I've noticed is if you think of craps as a game of intervals between 7, so the point number doesn't really matter. It's really the intervals between 7s, right?
Okay.
And most long hands are actually 2 smaller intervals between 7s that are strung together by a lucky mid-roll come-out 7.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking for a quote-unquote long hand, I'm looking for somebody to roll that 7 on the come-out after they've hit their first point.
Yeah.
Because then that kind of, in my mind, again, I don't have any law of large numbers or any mathematical thing to support that, but in my mind, that kind of resets the math a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember exactly how I did it. I think I reverse engineered standard deviations between two dice, and I came up with like 95% of your intervals between a 7 are going to be between 3 and 13. Right?
Wow.
So once you get to 13, you're already in like a huge outlier realm.
Talk to me about the right here, the boxes. The 33.49 on that 7.
Right. So those boxes are representative of what the actual dice combinations are of the die. Right. So a 7 has a 1 in 6 chance of happening.
Okay.
Right. But if you look at it, you're already at 33.49% probability that the roll will continue without a 7. So basically your 7's already happened 66% of the time before you even get to the ideal dice combination.
Yeah. So that 1 out of 6.
So that's what these boxes represent, the actual math combinations. But it seems to me that like once you start hitting the actual probabilities of the dice, you're at the 33 roughly % mark of the roll continuing without that number.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
It is very, very interesting.
Just so everybody knows where these numbers came from, all you have to do is take your percentage, so that's what this first column is, right? That's the percentage of the event not happening. So obviously 100% minus 16.6 is going to be your 0.8333, right?
Yeah.
And then you just take that number, that percentage, and raise it to the power of how many rolls you are. So you basically just multiply it times itself times however many rolls, right?
Okay, yeah.
So a simple way of saying it is you just raise it to the power. So to get this 48.23, all you do is you take 0.83333 raised to the power of 4, and that'll give you your percentage.
Wow. Okay.
So that's just a quick explanation of where that number comes from.
Right on. Well, that is very, very intriguing, and wow. I mean, everybody knows this is a math game,
right?
And probability. I always like to say the math is never in our favor.
No, it's not.
And especially when the casino doesn't pay true, to the probabilities. But I like to think of probability. And when I think about that, like the reason why I like this is because when I think about getting past the 7 and now the long roll is happening, how many of us just sit there and watch the long roll pass us by?
Right.
And then we're like, man, I missed it.
Right.
So.
And that's what I like about the 3 R's. It's kind of like little mileposts.
You know
what I mean? Like, hey, I got my money back. Okay, what am I looking to do next? Okay, well, now I want to collect a little bit of profit, and I want to kind of put my toes in the water and see if we're going to make it. And then once you get your toes in the water and you got your 5 and your 9, or your 4 and 10 if you want to get aggressive, now you can start thinking about, okay, now we're in the golden land. We want to really capitalize on this. And
that is cool.
It just kind of gives you a framework to move forward versus, kind of a deer in the headlights approach. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah. That is awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the viewers, people watching?
I don't know. I just want to say Brian's a great man. He's helped me out a lot in life. He's always been a good friend, and I really appreciate you giving me some time in front of the camera, man. I never thought that I would ever be interviewed. So.
Well, come on. And hopefully nobody will ever beat your monster roll that you had. Well, 30 rolls pretty much. But
yeah, I mean, again, full disclaimer, I've tried several times after that and still I've bombed every single time. So it was definitely a very rare 1 in a million opportunity, and it was just awesome to experience and be part of.
And to have it on video.
Yeah, and to have it on video, because nobody would ever believe that I parlayed 11 field numbers.
And I'll link that video below in the comment, or actually I'll pin it in the comments, but I'll also put it in the description as well, so you could see Lou roll that.
And that's another point that I didn't get into with the reaping. Again, I don't want to cause any controversy because I know some people don't believe in dice control or dice influence or anything but like that. But if you see yourself throwing a lot of field numbers, then by all means start parlaying that field, right? I would typically only do 3 to 5 in a real casino winning, but for that video, I just had the feeling to go for it, and it worked out. So that would be another part of the reaping. Again, depending on what I'm throwing, but I've kind of gotten away from parlaying the field because it is kind of a long shot as well too.
Yeah, but it's fun when you see it happen.
Yes. Yeah, very fun when it happens to you.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for being such a good friend and doing this and allowing me to video you and record this because that was some amazing information. Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and watch another video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you cruising and rolling on a craps table soon. See ya.
Bye.
Perfect, man. That was awesome.
No problem, dude.
That was awesome, man.
Like I said, I could go on and on about this game.